Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to talk about the economic impact of pandemics. Pandemics, such as the Spanish flu in the early 20th century and the more recent COVID-19 pandemic, have left deep imprints on economies worldwide. In this video, we'll examine the lessons we can learn from history and explore how the economic response to the COVID-19 pandemic has unfolded. Let's start by revisiting the Spanish flu of 1918. This deadly influenza pandemic not only claimed millions of lives but also had significant economic repercussions. Labor shortages and disruption. During the Spanish flu, labor shortages due to illness and deaths led to disruptions in various industries. The workforce participation rate dropped by 5% to 10% due to illness and deaths. Some industries experienced as much as a 40% decline in labor force capacity. Similar to today's pandemic, businesses struggled to operate at full capacity. Impact on supply chains. Global supply chains faced disruptions as trade routes were affected and dropped by around 30% during the Spanish flu pandemic. This experience taught us the importance of building resilient supply chains and diversifying sources of materials. Countries that diversified their sources of raw materials recovered faster than those heavily reliant on a single source. Long-term economic scarring. The Spanish flu left a lasting impact on economic growth, and some economies experienced a V-shaped recovery while others took longer to bounce back. Countries that experienced higher mortality rates during the Spanish flu tended to have slower economic growth in the subsequent years. The GDP of the United States contracted by around 6% in 1918 due to the pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic. Fast forward to the present day, and the COVID-19 pandemic has presented its own unique set of challenges. Lockdowns and economic freeze. To curb the spread of the virus, governments implemented lockdowns, leading to reduced economic activity and even temporary shutdowns of businesses. Global GDP shrank by 3.5% in 2020 due to pandemic-related lockdowns and restrictions. The International Labour Organization estimated that working hours equivalent to 255 million full-time jobs were lost in 2020. Fiscal and monetary policy. Governments and central banks responded with unprecedented fiscal stimulus packages and monetary easing to support businesses and individuals through the crisis. Governments globally rolled out stimulus packages worth over $14 trillion in response to the pandemic. Central banks in various countries implemented interest rate cuts, and some initiated quantitative easing measures to boost liquidity. Remote work and digital transformation. The pandemic accelerated trends like remote work and digitalization. Businesses had to adapt quickly to stay operational, reshaping industries and work environments. The percentage of people working from home in the United States increased from 7% before the pandemic to over 40% during the peak of the lockdowns. The adoption of digital tools and e-commerce experienced a significant surge during the pandemic, with online sales increasing by 45% in 2020. Lessons and uncertainties. What can we take away from these experiences and where do we go from here? 1. Pandemic preparedness. One key lesson is the need for better pandemic preparedness, including healthcare infrastructure, supply chain resilience, and contingency plans. 2. Balancing health and economy. Governments face the ongoing challenge of balancing public health measures with economic recovery efforts. 3. Inequality and resilience. The pandemic has exposed and exacerbated existing inequalities. Building resilient economies involves addressing these disparities and ensuring a more equitable recovery. The economic impact of pandemics is far-reaching and complex. As history has shown, pandemics can reshape economies, but they also highlight our capacity to adapt and innovate. What lessons do you think we've learned from these pandemics, and how can we apply them to our future? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation. If you liked video, please press like button and subscribe.